a quiet ripple in the void. You begin in stillness in the vacuum of nothingness where nothing holds everything. From that silence, a ripple forms the quantum wave, subtle and infinite. You float with it, not knowing whether it is a particle, a wave, or both. Here, uncertainty is not confusion, it's a gentle invitation. And the moment you try to know, it slips away like mist. There is no sound here. No wind, no breath, no heartbeat. Only the quiet, the kind of quiet that exists before anything else. You are floating, but there's no direction, no up or down, no weight or pull. It is not darkness, though you see no light. It is not cold, though there is no warmth. It is what exists before measurement, before form, the void and yet not empty in this. Vast infinite stillness, something begins. It is not a thing in the way we understand things. It does not have edges or mass or color. It is more like the idea of movement, a shiver, a ripple that doesn't travel through space but is space adjusting. To possibility, this ripple is the beginning of a wave, not a crashing oceanic kind, but a soft fluctuation, a suggestion of presence, of being. One moment it is here, the next it is elsewhere, but not gone, just different. This is the quantum wave. It is not one thing, not two. It does not choose because there is no need to like the potential for a dream before it takes shape. It simply exists. Not one, not the other, both. You drift closer not with your body, but with your mind, and still it does. Not let you touch it. You reach for understanding, but here the rules are different. You are used to things being where they are, a stone in your hand, a light in the distance. But this ripple does not stay put. The more you try to hold it, the more. It slides through your grasp. It is not being difficult, it simply is. And in its being, it reminds you that reality is not always firm. That sometimes knowing comes not from holding tight, but from letting go. You allow yourself to float with it, to breathe in the rhythm of its presence. The wave undulates soft and silent, never fully here or there. A whisper of what might be before it decides. If it ever decides, you are beginning to notice how it pulses, not like a clock, not with ticking time, but with a rhythm that feels organic yet unmeasurable, as though the universe is exhaling and this is its breath. From this wave, other ripples will form. They will collide, reinforce, cancel, echo, but for now it is alone, and you are alone with it. It is patient. You imagine that it has always been here, that perhaps it is time itself before we named it, that it watches the birth of possibility and does not rush to shape it. It allows all options to sit in harmony suspended. Still, this is not chaos. It is not confusion. It is balance without resolution, music without notes, a question without need for an answer. You think of the ripples on a pond. When a drop falls, the circles spread, outward reaching everything, but this ripple began without a drop, without an origin you can trace. Perhaps the universe itself is the pond, and perhaps the ripple is the first thought it ever had. You feel no urgency here. Time slows or stops, or maybe it never was. You do not know how long you have been watching the ripple, or if time even applies. And yet, the more you rest in it, the more it feels familiar. Perhaps it is in you too. You recall how thoughts arise in your own mind, not from nowhere, but from something quieter than words, a sensation, a spark. This wave feels the same. It is not a thing to be solved, it is a thing to be felt. You allow your breath to match its frequency. Slow, gentle, wide, still it pulses, still avoids being named. Scientists call it the wave function, a mathematical way of describing what could be before it becomes what is. But here in this quiet, you don't need math. You just feel it, like the shadow of a future choice. Like the breath before a word, the wave is not alone. There are others distant but near, and yet each wave is complete. Whole in itself, together they make a field, the quantum field, an invisible sea of potential that underlies all existence. You're a part of it, every atom in your body wants just a ripple like this. Every breath you take, once a possibility waiting to collapse. Every star in the sky, every cell in your skin, every memory you hold once danced in the sea of maybes. And still it dances. There is peace in this, and knowing that underneath all the complexity, there is a softness, a foundation made, not of bricks or bones, but of gentle fluctuation, a universe not built but becoming. You begin to sense that this wave does not end. It is only altered, observed, shaped by attention, but not destroyed. You blink, and just like that, the wave is gone. But not really, only shifted, only collapsed into something else. You wonder then what changed it. Your mind, your curiosity, your wish to understand. And if so, what else do we change? Simply by being here, the ripple becomes quiet again, but not empty. Never empty, you rest in that thought and begin to feel something else nearby. A presence not of waves, but of rhythm. A pattern that doesn't ripple but pulses. It is uncertainty. And it too holds the key to how the world begins to shape itself. The uncertainty that holds you. Your body feels solid, your breath steady, yet at its heart, reality flickers. Heisenberg's uncertainty is not a flaw, but a rhythm like your heartbeat changing in sleep. The more clearly you see one thing, the blurrier the other becomes, just like dreams vivid and feeling, but hard to hold. And so you float in between, softly aware of both. You lie still again, but this time you're aware of a pulse. Not from your own body, though. It mirrors it. A deeper rhythm, less like a beat and more like a question repeating softly. Where are you? How fast are you going? It doesn't demand an answer, but it also doesn't let you know both. You feel a shape begin to form around you, not quite a place, but a possibility. A flicker of position, but the moment comes into focus, something else fades. Its motion, its momentum, its flow gone, or rather no longer knowable. You see clearly where it is, but not what it's doing. This is uncertainty, and it's not a bug in the universe. It's part of its music. Heisenberg called it a principle. But here in the quiet dark, it feels more like a lullaby, a slow alternating rhythm that guides your awareness from one shore to another without ever letting you hold both coasts at once. You reach. With your mind gently, a thought touches one piece of information and the other drifts into mist. You try again, and again it moves away. Like trying to hold onto smoke while catching moonlight, the act of grasping itself becomes the thing that alters what's being grasped, and yet this is not a failure. This is the quantum breath. Things in your world feel certain. Your hand is where it is. Your heart beats in your chest. Your bed holds your weight, but under all that, far below the floorboards of the familiar, there is a world where nothing is fixed unless watched. You are beginning to see that observation is not passive. It's participatory. To look is to touch. To measure is to sculpt. To ask is to change the answer. And that feels strange at first, but you let yourself lean into it. Imagine walking through a forest at night. You hold a small lantern. Wherever the light falls, you see clearly a tree, a path, a branch. But everything outside the circle of light is blurry, hidden, unknown. Now imagine that the moment you shine the light, the thing you see shifts as if the act of lighting, it causes it to become. That's the quantum forest. And you are both the traveler and the lantern. You do not fear this. You grow more curious, and with curiosity comes comfort, because the world isn't less real for being flexible. It is more alive, more aware. It answers differently depending on how you ask. You float with that thought, letting your mind drift between position and velocity. One becomes clearer, the other softens, then they switch. It is not dizziness, it is dance. Perhaps the universe is a partner that doesn't resist, it responds. Gently but decisively, and the way it responds depends on your step. This uncertainty, this impossibility of knowing everything at once is not a gap in knowledge. It's a doorway. Through it comes all mystery, all story, all change, and you in this still space are not here to solve it. You are here to be part of it. You are the knowing that can never be complete. The question that carries its own answer in silence, you let go of needing to know. You become the lantern, quietly illuminating one truth at a time, not chasing the others, just aware that they remain. Always present, always waiting to be seen. The flicker doesn't frighten you now, it soothes, because you realize even uncertainty has its own pattern, like the beat between breaths, like the pause in music, like the gap between stars that gives the sky its depth. You rest between those beats now, not trying to control, just noticing, and in that noticing, the rhythm slow spreads. Envelops. You are not confused. You are floating in the purest form of wonder, a kind that doesn't beg for answers. You breathe. You wonder softly, silently, what happens when many uncertainties begin to share their rhythm, when multiple ripples begin to overlap, interfere, align. You feel something new beginning to form, a dance not of single questions, but of layered possibilities. And in that dance, there lies something called superposition, the dance of superposition. You imagine a coin, spinning in the air, not heads or tails, but both. This is superposition, the in-between state where possibility lives. Your mind rests in this dance where being one thing doesn't cancel the other. Like thoughts before decisions, it's all real, all that. Once, until something you perhaps watches. The world has not shifted, yet something feels new. There's a lightness now, not weightless, but untethered. As if you've stepped into a room where the walls aren't fixed, where everything might still become something else, and nothing has yet decided what to be. You hover in this space, not above or below it, but within, it feels like a coin in midair caught between one side and the other, spinning fast enough that both faces blur into a silver shimmer. That is superposition. Here reality is not a list of choices, but a field of maybes, a world where something can be here and there, up and down, yes and no, all at once. You do not feel lost. You feel suspended. The laws of the larger world don't seem to reach here. This isn't about choosing, it's about allowing. You let your thoughts loosen, give them room to stretch out and not land, and as they stretch, they multiply. A particle here is not in one place. It exists in many, not as many copies, but as many possibilities, like 1,000 doors open all at once, not waiting for you to choose, but waiting for the world to look. Until then, all paths are equally true. You think of memories, of choices not made of roads, not taken, but maybe in some soft, since you did take them somewhere in some flicker of probability. You stood in the sun, and the shade superposition is not confusion, it's completion. It's the wholeness of all options still breathing before narrowing into one you let your breath match. That idea is slow, spacious, like air filling a room with no corners, like thought drifting without need for end. You notice a rhythm again, but not like before. It's a layering, a hum beneath the hum. A chord played with infinite fingers, each possibility plays a note, and together they sing a quiet, endless song. You are hearing all of it, feeling all of it. A wave that isn't sure what shore to crash upon and doesn't have to decide. Not yet, and then you wonder what decides, what ends the spin, what calls the blur into a line observation. Something changes when we look. This much is known. The act of watching folds the wave, ends the dance. A decision is made, but for now, no one is looking, so the particle drifts a smear of presence across all space. It hasn't chosen, and you haven't forced it to. It is resting in potential, like a story not yet written, like sleep before a dream. You rest with it. You think of yourself now not as a solid thing, but as a shimmer, a field of experiences waiting to happen. You are not only who you've been, you are also who you might become, and maybe that too is superposition. You feel that silver coin still spinning, not to land, but to stay in motion. Not to choose, but to reflect all sides at once. In this space, the world doesn't need to be binary. It can be everything, so you let go of sides, of labels, of ether, and you let yourself be part of the blur. Here meaning is not fixed. It flows, language softens, definitions dissolve, not into chaos, but into something gentler something that listens more than it declares. You close your eyes, inside them you see 2 stars, or are they one? 2 choices, or maybe 10. Every version of every possibility glowing quietly side by side, not competing, just waiting, and then a breeze, a flicker, a change. Somewhere some gaze lands, some measure is taken, and like a bell softly struck, the shimmer tightens. The wave collapses, the dance ends, the coin lands. A single version of the many becomes the one, and all the others. Not erased, just folded back into the fabric of what might have been. You feel no grief, only awe, because from all that could be something now is. And this act, this folding of possibility, doesn't just happen once. It happens always, continually, endlessly. A rhythm of blooming and choosing, of floating and falling. You wonder what happens when these waves aren't alone. What happens when one collapsing ripple affects another, across space, across time? What happens when 2 particles become entangled? Entangled across the silence, 2 particles separated by galaxies still move together like a pair of swans. Entanglement is invisible threadwork, a memory the universe carries between its pieces. When one turns, the other feels it, even in the dark. You are not alone, this chapter whispers, perhaps nothing truly is. Everything is connected gently, strangely, surely. You drift now in a space that feels wider, not larger but deeper, as if the emptiness has learned how to echo. Something pulls your attention, not with force but with familiarity, a feeling like remembering a dream you never knew you had. You reach without reaching and find something waiting, not an object, not a voice, but presence. Somewhere impossibly far, or maybe right beside. You, something else stirs when you stir, something responds when you simply feel. This is not reflection, it's not cause and effect. It's something older, stranger, a connection that doesn't need a road to travel. This is entanglement, 2 particles once, near each other, once part of the same dance, drift apart, one to one corner of the universe, the other to another. And yet they do not forget, change one and the other changes too. Instantly, without signal, without sound, as if space all the miles and galaxies between them doesn't matter, as if separation is only a story we tell. You float in the middle of that idea, a web of relationships too fine to see yet strong enough to pull on stars. You wonder, who else are you entangled with? Every voice you've heard, every hand you've held, every moment of laughter or sorrow. Did it leave a thread in the fabric of your being? And if it did, are you still moving together? You think of your memories now, not as shadows, but as signals, tiny tremors that still reach someone somewhere, someone who felt the same. Perhaps your joy echoed into them. Perhaps their silence answered yours. Entanglement is not just a scientific term. It is a reminder nothing truly exists alone. You feel it now beneath the quiet, not noise, not thoughts, but a pattern, a correspondence. One thing changes and so does another, even across silence, even across time. A pair of swans on opposite ends of a dark lake, drifting in mirrored motion. They never touch, but each knows. When the other turns, this is not magic. This is nature whispering across the dark. You realize maybe you've always been entangled with something else. An idea, a hope, a version of yourself still floating somewhere in the future. And when you act with love, that version smiles. It is not fantasy, it is possibility made tender. Quantum entanglement does not allow messages to travel faster than light, not in the way we send words, but it does something subtler. It proves that connection exists without contact. It shows that wholeness can stretch. You drift between these truths. You feel the reach of them. Every movement in your heart mirrored elsewhere, not by all things, but by one, the one that remembers you. And you wonder how many such pairs exist in the universe. How many particles born together now drift in different corners of creation, still dancing in step. And what does that say about us? That maybe we too are part of some great entangled story, that maybe love is not bound by distance, that maybe understanding can happen even without words. Even now you feel it, a calm knowing that someone somewhere is turning with you. Softly, silently, surely it makes you feel less alone. It makes you wonder if all things are connected. Then what happens when you try to know too much about one? If one entangled part is measured and the other shifts? What happens to the cloud of possibilities it once held? You begin to sense the shape of something fading, a softness narrowing, the superposition collapsing, and in its place a certainty takes hold. A single outcome, but what makes it collapse? A measurement, a choice. Perhaps the next chapter holds the answer. Perhaps it begins with the collapse of the cloud, the collapse of the possibility cloud, like a fog over the morning hills, the quantum. World is a cloud of maybes, and when you look, really look, it becomes just one thing. That moment, the collapse, is not violence, it's choice made visible. Your attention is a touch that changes the world. And then it changes again, you feel the cloud. Before you see it, it rolls in slowly, not like storm clouds, but like mist in a quiet valley. It doesn't cover the world, it is the world. At least the part you haven't looked at yet. Everything here is soft, unfixed, gentle. This is the possibility cloud. The place where all outcomes drift side by side, breathing in silence. A particle isn't a dot. Not yet, it's a haze of coulds, a fog made of futures. It doesn't hide the truth. It is the truth before it's chosen. You walk into it without feet. You move through it without motion. Each step is a pause. Each breath is a question. And all around you, the answers are floating. They do not shout. They do not fight. They wait. Like doors not yet opened, like seeds not yet planted. Each one holds a version of reality. One where the particle turns left. One where it turns right. One where it spins, and one where it rests. The cloud carries them all. It is peaceful here. You've grown used to the idea that the universe is full of rules. Gravity pulls, time ticks. But here, there is no ticking, only drifting, and then you notice something curious. The cloud isn't random. It's shaped by probabilities, not certainties. Some futures glow a little brighter, some drift closer to the center, some shimmer faintly. At the edge, you begin to understand the universe leans toward some outcomes more than others, not out of preference, but out of pattern. Still nothing is decided, not yet, and then you really look, not just with your eyes, but with your attention. Your curiosity, your need to know, and something changes. It's not loud. It doesn't shout, but something collapses. The cloud folds, the shimmer tightens. And from the haze, one version solidifies, the particles here, now, doing this, the rest of the possibilities. Gone, or perhaps just quieted. You've witnessed wave function collapse, the moment when quantum uncertainty gives way to classical certainty. The mist becomes a shape, the maybe becomes a fact, but it's not destruction, it's birth. You feel the strangeness of it. A single act of observation has rewritten reality, or at least selected it, and what was once everywhere is now somewhere. You wonder if you changed the outcome, or if you simply revealed what was always waiting. The particle doesn't resist it. Simply becomes, as if it was waiting for your gaze to finish the sentence, and yet the cloud is never truly gone. Because the moment you turn away, new maybes begin to rise again. Possibility never sleeps. You see it now. The collapse is not a full stop. It is a comma, a breath, a moment of decision that gives rise to new questions, and in this way the world unfolds. One gaze at a time, one collapse at a time. You begin to wonder, what if everything you see, everything you know is shaped this way? Not by certainty alone, but by the dance between possibility and attention. The stars, the soil, your very thoughts. What if they begin in clouds and only become real when you reach for them? That idea sits with you soft, slow, not frightening, a comfort. Even because it means the future is still open, still forming, and you, the observer, are part of the pattern. You do not control the cloud, but you do touch it. And in touching it, you change the world, even if only a little, even if only quietly. You Float in that idea now, that every moment is a bloom, a narrowing, a turning of haze into shape, and then back again, a breath in, a breath out. What becomes real becomes memory, what waits remains mist. You wonder if this collapse brings certainty, the gentle flow of time. Time does not tick, it breathes, it stretches, it waits. It is not a ruler, but a river slow winding and full of eddies. You float in it now, neither ahead nor behind. Moments unfold like petals, not in haste but in grace, and still. Something in you asks, is time even real? You begin to sense it, not as a clock, but as a current time. Not the kind that rushes you, not the kind that haunts calendars and alarms, but something deeper, slower, more ancient. It doesn't arrive, it surrounds. Like water in a warm pool, you are not racing through it, you are resting in it. Time breathes, you inhale and it stretches, you exhale and it settles. Here time does not march. It meanders, it does not command, it allows you float in its presence, and for the first time you feel time without fear. Moments pass not as numbers, but as ripples a shimmer in the water. A change in light, this is not time by the second, this is time by the sigh. You drift backward, not in memory, but in motion. Time folds, gently letting you explore its curve. There is no resistance, only welcome. You see stars forming in slow spirals. You feel oceans cooling on young worlds. You witness the pause between lightning and thunder, not as a delay, but as a dialogue. In this version of time, everything has space to bloom, and still it flows. You are not stuck. You are carried, but the current is soft like velvet under your skin. Sometimes it slows in grief, in awe and wonder. Sometimes it vanishes in sleep, in joy and stillness. You begin to understand what Einstein meant, that time is not separate from space, that both are stitched together, forming the stage of everything. And depending on how you move, how fast, how near to gravity time bends, you imagine yourself nearer. A black hole, its pulse so strong time slows to a crawl. A moment for you becomes a year for someone else. You wonder then whose time is true. The answer settles softly. All of them. Time is not one river, it is many, each flowing at its own pace, shaped by where you are, how you move, who you are, and yet somehow they all sing the same song. You're a part of that music. Every breath you take is one note. Every blink a measure, your heartbeat is a drummer, slow and kind. You remember the collapse, the wave becoming one thing. Time too collapses into memory, into moments, into meaning, but it also expands. Each second holds echoes, layers, potentials. You think of a forest. From far above it looks still, but up close every leaf shivers in the breeze. So too with time. From far it seems steady, from near it is alive. You are very close now. You feel time not as a straight line, but as a garden. Paths winding, sometimes looping, sometimes splitting, and maybe, just maybe, you've walked this path before. Not in reincarnation, not in repetition, but in resonance and feeling. Deja vu they call it, but perhaps it is something deeper. A fold in the fabric, a rhyme in the rhythm. Time holds you gently, and still you wonder if time can flow forward and back. Bend and stretch. Can it also loop? Can the end of something become its beginning? Loops and the illusion of ends. You were taught that time moves forward like an arrow. But what if it curves? What if the end is a soft return? Nature doesn't fear repetition. It dances in cycles. Stars are born, die, and rise again in another sky. And so perhaps to you, you find yourself at a familiar edge. Not an end, but something that looks like one, like the curve of a wave just before it folds, like the horizon line. At dusk, where the sun seems to vanish, you reach this edge gently, no rush, just awareness. And then the edge gives way, not to a fall, but to a return. You are looping now, not circling in confusion, but spiraling with grace, like the petals of a blooming flower, like galaxies that twist in elegant arcs. The universe, you realize, is full of loops, the orbits of planets, the cycle of seasons, the rise and rest of breath, the beat of heart and tide and time. Every end, it seems, is simply a soft turn into something known by a different name. Even the particles you've drifted with, the ones that collapse and become, can circle back in equations and patterns and dreams. Maybe your thoughts do too. You've been here before, not in place, but in feeling the curiosity, the quiet awe, the ache of a question not yet answered. It returns, and you welcome it. You begin to see how memory is a loop, not just a glance backward, but a way of arriving again. Each time changed, each time deeper, and maybe time is not linear after all. Maybe it is layered. A spiral staircase you keep ascending or descending, always seeing the same window, but from a new height. You pause at this thought. It doesn't frighten you. It frees you, because if things loop, if time bends, then nothing is truly lost. Only transformed, revisited, retold. You think of stories now, how endings often mirror beginnings, the way the last line echoes the first. You are living that rhythm now. You feel a beginning forming, that before it arrives, you reflect. Have you ended something, or simply passed through a turning? The moon wanes, then waxes. The tide pulls away, then returns. Sleep takes you, then restores you. Nothing disappears. It just changes state, like water to mist, like breath to stillness, like questions to wonder. And so you release the idea of an ending. Even here in this chapter, you feel something returning, maybe the questions you held in chapter 1 about the ripple, the particle, the wave are still here, waiting at the next curve, because what loops learns, and what returns deepens. You wonder now, if time can bend and endings are illusions, what lies in the center of the loop? What holds the spiral together? Perhaps the answer is not time at all. Perhaps it is space, the stillness of space. Before motion there is rest. Before time flows, space holds. It is not emptiness, it is the soft container of everything. Galaxies bloom in its silence. Thoughts drift within its pause, and in its stillness you find your own. You have followed ripples, waves, questions, collapses. Now you arrive at something quieter, not because it is less, but because it is more vast space. Not just the black sky between stars, not just the gaps between things, but the very stage on which all of it plays. You drift here now, not as an object, but as awareness. A witness to stillness so wide it doesn't need sound to feel full. This is not emptiness, it is potential. Space is not the absence of matter, it is the invitation for it. It cradles planets, suspends stars, it listens longer than time speaks. And you float in it like a thought before it becomes a word. Here you are not pulled, not rushed, not labeled. You simply are, and being is enough. You begin to notice the shape space allows spirals, webs, filaments of galaxies stretching for millions of light years. They hang like dew on an invisible thread. That thread is space itself. It curves, gravity does not pull, it bends the stillness like a finger pressing softly into fabric, and things follow the bend. You feel yourself drawn not by force, but by flow, not toward a place, but into a relationship with stillness. You begin to understand why silence is sacred, because it is not empty, it is foundational. Just like space, here time has no edges. Motion has no rush. You are allowed to simply float to be, and in that permission, something inside you begins to settle. Your thoughts spread out like smoke and air. No need to chase, no need to hold. They are suspended in the soft tension of stillness. You feel your body less, not because it's gone, but because space does not press against it. You are no longer confined. You are part of the openness, and yet even in this vastness, you are not alone. Tiny particles wink in and out of existence. Fluctuations ripple gently like dreams within sleep. Space holds all of this, with no resistance, no judgment, like a friend who doesn't interrupt like breath between notes in a song. You remember now, this is where everything began. Before the first particle, before the first wave, there was space. Not dark, not cold, just waiting. And now you ask if space holds all what holds. Space that question doesn't need an answer, only needs a pause. Because the stillness you feel here is not ignorance. It is understanding without words. Not everything must be spoken to be known. You feel that truth settle into your chest, a warmth, a weightless weight. You float not through space, but with it. It becomes not a place, but a companion, and you wonder. If space is not the absence of things, but their canvas, then what paints upon it? What shapes emerge when the stillness begins to stir? You begin to feel it again. A quiet breath, a gentle nudge, the beginning of a new motion, something stirring beneath the stillness, something about to be born. From the calm comes the spark. Perhaps next we enter the dance of energy, the spark. That dance's stillness is never truly still. Within it lies a trembling, a pulse, the beginning of motion. Energy awakens, not with noise, but with rhythm. A flicker becomes a flame, a ripple becomes a wave, and the dance of everything begins. There is a moment brief, sacred, when stillness begins to stir, not with a crash, but with a shimmer. A single spark, small as a whisper, flickers into being. It is not heat, yet it holds warmth. It is not motion, yet it carries rhythm. It is energy, born not from chaos, but from potential. A permission within the stillness to move, to become. You see it now, the soft beginning of everything. A pulse like the first heartbeat of a world. It hums, not as sound, but as intention, as readiness. Energy is not a thing. It is a doing of flow, a change waiting to unfold. You watch it shimmer across the still canvas of space, gentle waves rippling outward. Not loud, not fast, just steady, sure. Each ripple holds the memory of the spark. Each motion carries the mark of the silence it left behind. You feel it now in your own being, the shift from rest to rise. A thought forms, a breath deepens. Even you are part of this energy. Because nothing truly rests forever, not in the universe, not in you. Everything pulses, everything dances. You begin to sense the forms this energy takes: light, warmth, movement. Not scattered, not random, but rhythmic, like the beat of a drum heard through water. It gathers, it twirls, it becomes. This is where the particles first emerge, not separate from the dance, but made by it. They are energy slowed into shape, frozen music loops that hold themselves together. And when energy dances just right, it creates something that lasts. You feel the joy in it, not a feeling, but a presence. A kind of cosmic playfulness, as if the universe delights in becoming. This dance does not need an audience, but it welcomes one. You are that audience now. And more, you are a dancer too. Every heartbeat, every blink, every gentle thought. It's all movement. It's all energy. You begin to understand matter is not the opposite of energy. It is its memory, a condensed rhythm, a persistent spark. You are made of those sparks, of stars that burned, of atoms that sing. Your body is a symphony of tiny dances playing. In time, and still the spark keeps moving. Energy cannot be destroyed. Only changed. It flows through galaxies, through gravity, through growth, and it flows through you. You think of light, how it travels, how it touches, how it gives without fading. That is energy's oldest form, the first gift, and now you wonder, what shaped that spark? What guided its dance? What gave energy its rhythm? Perhaps there is something deeper still. Not motion, not mass, but pattern, a code. The pattern beneath all things, beneath light, motion, matter, there is a rhythm, not made of notes, but of numbers. A quiet intelligence hums beneath the universe, not thinking, weaving, not choosing, unfolding. You listen more closely now, not for sounds, but for pattern. The spark still dances, but it moves with purpose, not randomness. You begin to see something hidden in plain sight, order, even in chaos, even in swirling galaxies and storms. There is rhythm beneath the surface, not imposed, not designed, emergent. The way rivers find curves, the way branches fork, the way snowflakes fall. This is not coincidence, it is coherence. You begin to recognize it in spirals and symmetry and timing. From the whorls of your fingertips to the structure of the stars, the same pattern echoes a golden thread. Invisible, but everywhere. You've heard it called many things: mathematics, symmetry, sacred geometry, but you don't need a name for it now, you feel it. It's in the Fibonacci spirals of shells, the hexagons of honeycomb, the pulse of your heartbeat. It's how the universe knows how to fold, how to become. Each particle, each field, each force follows rules so precise, so elegant, they feel like poetry whispered in equations. And you're made from those whispers. You're a living expression of pattern, your DNA, a twisting ladder of four repeating letters, your thoughts waves shaped by neurons firing in rhythm, your breath in and out in time with the tide. And so you ask who wrote the pattern, but the question fades as quickly as it forms, because it's not about a writer, it's about the unfolding. No blueprint, just becoming, like the way a seed knows how to grow, like the way ice crystals know how to arrange. The pattern doesn't need to be told, it remembers. And you too remember somewhere deep. You don't need to understand every number to feel their harmony. The universe is not a machine, it is a song, and pattern is the melody that repeats, never identical, but always familiar. Fractal shapes that echo themselves, no matter how small you look, symmetries that make molecules stable, and galaxies' beautiful ratios that turn vibration into music. You feel them ripple through you, not to control, but to carry. Like the beat that lets you dance, like the pause that gives meaning to the note. Everything obeys the pattern, even chaos, even time, even your thoughts, and still you wonder if pattern is the fabric beneath all things. What causes it to shift? What allows it to change, to evolve, to express something new? Perhaps the answer lies not in stillness or in rhythm, but in choice. Perhaps the next unfolding is you. The choice to become. The universe unfolds with pattern, but not without freedom. In the quiet between pulses, something stirs intention. Not destiny, not fate, but possibility shaped by choice. The cosmos offers a bosom path, but you place each step, and choosing you create. You float now at a crossroad that doesn't look like a crossroad. There are no signs, no forks, no visible paths. Just stillness, and yet you feel it, the pull of possibility, the whisper of what could be, not dictated, not assigned. Offered, you have felt the pattern, spirals and shells, ripples and time laws that hold galaxies steady. But patterns alone do not explain everything. There's a softness to the universe, a gap between the beat of its rhythm, a space where something unplanned can rise. Choice, not just instinct, not reaction, but awareness. Direction, you sense it not as power, but as presence. A quiet ability to turn to shape, to become. You see it in quantum particles, how they remain in a haze of probabilities until an observation makes them decide. That moment of collapse is a kind of choice. You see it in evolution, how life experiments, adapts, becomes more than it was. You see it in yourself, how you pause, breathe. Wonder you could go this way or that, and that pause is everything. It's what makes you more than a passenger in the flow. It's what makes you a co-creator. The universe offers ingredients, matter, energy pattern, but you stir the pot. You choose the rhythm. You shape the meaning. Even the smallest act, a thought, a breath, a kindness echoes. Because it was chosen, you are not bound to a single path. You are not walked by the stars. The pattern holds you, yes, but loosely. Like wind holds a kite, you are free to dance within it. And so the question comes, what will you become? Not just what will happen to you, but what will you shape? What version of yourself waits in the next unfolding? You are not a fixed point, you are a direction, and that direction bends with choice, sometimes quietly like a thought you follow, sometimes boldly like a door you decide to walk through, and each choice opens another. That is how the universe learns, not by commands, but by participation, not by control, but by connection. You are part of that learning, a node in the great feedback loop, and still the choice is never forced. Even now you could return to stillness, Float rest, let the rhythm carry you, but something stirs a spark, a reach, a question, what if I try? And in that trying, the universe leans in, not to judge, but to witness, to co-create, and now you feel it. The moment before becoming, the breath before birth, everything you've drifted through, waves, space, energy, time, it all arrives here to this point of pause, where the next step is yours. What will you choose? The question lingers as the curtain lifts, becoming the universe. You are not in the universe, you are the universe, aware of itself. Not a watcher, but a wave. Not a visitor, but a voice in. It's unfolding. Every breath you take echoes, stars, atoms, oceans, and now it's time to rest in that knowing. The journey has circled back, not to where it began, but to a place beyond beginnings. You are no longer separate from the science, you are the science, the story, the spark, the universe which once felt vast and outside now feels near. Within, because it is the dust in your bones, was born in a star. The fire of your thoughts is quantum electricity. Your heartbeat follows rhythms older than time. You do not just witness galaxies, you mirror them, fractals of stardust and soft breath. Each cell in you carries a pattern that echoes the cosmos. Each thought is a flicker in the universal mind. You rest now in that awareness, not overwhelmed, but embrace. The dance of energy continues. You are a step in it. The pulse of time flows on. You are a beat within it. The stillness of space surrounds you. You are the silence between stars. All the laws you've explored, quantum waves, time folds. Particle loops, they are not stories you heard. They are stories you live right now. You are a ripple in space-time. A poem the universe is writing, and as you drift, you begin to release the questions, not because they're answered, but because they've become part of you. Wonder doesn't need fixing, it only needs feeling, and you felt it deeply. Across chapters, across atoms, across yourself, you are not alone in the night. You are the night, and all the light within it. Sleep is not an ending, it is a return to stillness, to rhythm, to the great becoming, and when you wake, you'll still be part of it. The science, the softness, the story. So now take a deep breath, let go. Let your thoughts dissolve back into the pattern. Let your body drift with the quiet curve of time. Let sleep come like gravity, like love, like light. You've remembered who you are, and that is enough. If this journey brought you calm, curiosity, or comfort, follow us for more bedtime voyages through science and wonders, sweet dreams. Gentle traveler, best of luck for sleeping. You've earned this rest.